Well, one of them was known as and interestingly,
this evening it's Michael wearing his rather different hat to the one you usually, or one of the ones you usually wear, Michael. He's made 6 films about art and artists, and we're showing extracts from 4 of these films. The first one is about a Scottish artist called Anne Redpath. Now, many of you may or may not know her work, but I'm going to ask Michael just to explain how it came about that this particular film was made, because this was a crucial film in relation to all the other ones.
Yes, what happened was in 1998, I was approached by 2 ladies, one a director, one a producer, from BBC Scotland, and said they were making a film about Anne Redpath, who I did know her because I had 2 of her paintings, but I didn't really know much about her life and how she painted and all that. And they said, could we come to your house and just at least take shots of the paintings that you've got? And I said, yes, that's absolutely fine, come when you like. And then I got an email a bit later on saying, well, by the way, are you interested in her work and how she did work? And I said, yes, well, of course I'm interested. Would you like to present the programme? And we come to your house and you can just be the presenter. So I said, well, fine. The remarkable thing I think about Anne Redpath, she's such a good painter, and you can see at the end how she developed into something really kind of quite powerful. And yet for most of her working life she was married to an architect who was living in France, building villas for rich Americans and all that, and she had the family, so she had the family to look after. So for about 20 years of her life, which could have been the supremely creative years, she was just a mum and a housewife. So I thought it was rather remarkable to think what might have been if she'd been able to paint throughout her life. But a very strong woman, as you can tell. I don't know quite why they should have been a group of Scottish painters who produced such exultant work in France. It didn't really happen to English painters. I may be wrong, but I think it was largely, and I think probably because they kind of knew each other, and they were sort of competitive in a way. Each one was trying to produce something more colourful and more structured, whatever.
How does their story end? This particular group. Back to
Ferguson and I think Peploe were very successful later on, and Cadell to a way, and Leslie Hunter never really made it as a great artist, but I think his work is wonderful, and I think they just kept painting. I can't remember when they died. It was, I mean, the strong period was before the war, I think, and then just after in the 20s. And Hammershøi particularly, I'm most affected by his work. I didn't really know much about him at all. In fact, Terry Jones used to say to me, I know why you make these art programmes. You find some obscure artist, buy a painting of theirs, make a television programme, then sell the painting. I said, no, certainly not. But I just think he's just so, it's the beauty is there's so little there. And completely repeats every time, just does interiors and all that. Never seems to want to go out, and I mean, you know, wonderful contrast with Ferguson and the south of France and all that jollity and everything. And yet there's a certain, you know, I mean, now there's a certain erotic quality in his work as well, I think. You know, it's not that there's, you know, nothing there. I mean, the back of the neck, the light on the neck, this strange figure, Ida, who apparently had sort of depressive illness. This is what they say. And so she was not a happy person at the time. But there he is, sort of painting her continually. And you look at the paintings and what's just happened, or may be going to happen that gives it attention, but also just the sheer beauty of the way he paints interiors.
It's very interesting. Christina's World, which is a painting that's quite familiar with, but I had no idea that she hadn't got the use of her legs. That's what it's all about.
That's the joy and pleasure of making these films, to discover so much. And also you were there in the place where they worked, which I think you've got them away from the art world, you've got them away from critics, you've got them away from galleries, you've got them away from sort of the vagaries of taste and all that. You're just seeing where they worked, with the people they knew who were around them at the time. And I think Wyeth has, he was very unfashionable at the time. And considered to be just obvious and realist and all that. But again, you look at a lot of his paintings, they're a bit like Hammershøi. There are things that you're not quite sure what's happening in the painting. They're absolutely not clear. They look as though they're just pieces of farm equipment and a face or something like that. But the way the structure, the way the composition is, and that extraordinary painting of Kerner's wife, you know, and she's looking out, and she's at one corner of the porch, and you see the porch and the fields beyond. I mean, these are contrived, they're put together in an interesting way. It's not just a sort of a figure on a porch, by any means.
Which were the other two films that you did?
Well, it was Artemisia Gentileschi.
Oh,
was the one we did, and the other was, it wasn't actually about a painter. It was about two ladies, the Cohn sisters.
Oh, wonderful!
You know, and they lived in Baltimore, and they were both spinsters and had a lot of money because their father ran Levi Jeans, something like that. And they just went to Europe and shopped. They bought everything, you know, furniture, paintings, but they also had very good taste, and they got very, very close to people like Matisse and Picasso, and would bring it all back to their Baltimore apartment, and everything was on the wall. You know, it wasn't in a gallery at all. And their relationship with Matisse was very interesting. You could come round to dinner and have a look around, advise them where to put the painting. And they left this spectacular collection to the Baltimore Art Museum. Yeah. So that was more general. It's about collectors. With Artemisia Gentileschi, it was very interesting because we thought her work was worth looking at in some detail, and went to the BBC, and the BBC said, "Oh, yes, no, very good, but we've done her in a BBC documentary about women artists." Can you imagine that? We've done her we had an hour's programme about women artists. Can you imagine that? We've done a programme on men artists. That was the whole point. There was a story to tell, so you have to do a bit of a battle.
I ask how the films evolve. I mean, you start with a clear idea to begin with. I mean, it sounds very much like you find out things as you go along. I mean, do you sort of piece them together from what you've got, or do you start with a strong sense of the thing?
They're quite well researched, and I must say I have to give an enormous debt of gratitude to Eleanor Ewell, who wrote most of the scripts. I mean, I adapt them to make them. We work on them together, but basically she is the driving force behind them. And she's very, she and Murray work very, very hard to find some way of getting into the painting and something about the painters themselves. So it isn't just me talking about paintings. It's about the feel of the painting and why they paint. Hence a lot of very close work of camera on canvas. Music specially composed, all that sort of thing, using archive. You know, you want to try and get a little deeper into it than just saying, here's a painter who did this, that and the other. And that's what we're trying to do, and sometimes it works very, very well, other times less well. I find the whole idea of people standing in front of paintings, talking about paintings, rather it's a waste of time, really, because you should be looking at the painting, you know. Here I am, standing in front of a painting you can't see because I'm standing in front of it. But
Sort of a selfie, really.
it is, yes, it's a really expensive selfie. Looking at those films, what I find most gratifying is really the way that the camera works on that, right, gets right in, and the way she's chosen the right paintings to look at in great detail. And it's just, sometimes it's just absolutely gorgeous work. I mean, I always say with a camera you can get closer to the painting than you can in a gallery, where the sort of thing goes if you get too close.
Thank you very much, Michael.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And a superb place to talk about art. I mean, that's the great thing, you know. It's really very nice. So I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Tristram, for getting it all together.
I know what clapping means. Stop talking.